I quit my job after I read this book. You see, up to this point, I had already spent 2 years learning basic wealth building concepts. But after I read this book, I had these major realizations that completely shifted my money perspective. It was like a light bulb went off in my head and I couldn't unlearn what I just learned. And honestly, I felt really foolish continuing to work my 9-to-5 job, especially after the pandemic left me feeling so burnt out. The book I'm referring to is called The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. And the words in this book, they're truly powerful because it has the ability to change your life and the way you think about work and wealth. Before I read this book, I was stuck in the traditional sidewalk mindset. You know, the idea that you have to work a 9-to-5 job, climb the corporate ladder, and wait forever to achieve financial success. But the Millionaire Fastlane, well, it showed me there was a different and a faster, more efficient pathway to building wealth. It taught me how to see money differently, how to build scalable businesses and invest in assets that generate passive income. And let me tell you, once I understood that concept, it was a game changer. In this book, DeMarco identifies 3 major roadmaps to building wealth: the sidewalk, the slow lane, and the fast lane. Let me summarize this book just for you. The sidewalk lane. The sidewalk is a trap, a damn good trap, but it's a trap. It lures you into the false sense of security, telling you that if you just do what's normal, everything will be okay. DeMarco refers to the sidewalk lane as a roadmap to mediocrity. People on the sidewalk lane live paycheck to paycheck and never accumulate significant wealth in their lifetime. And this roadmap involves living a consumeristic lifestyle, relying on credit cards to finance your purchases and failing to save and invest for the future. And this lifestyle, it's really all about living for today, living in the moment, YOLO. You only live once, spending each paycheck as it comes with the latest iPhone or the newest, trendiest clothes or that luxurious trip to Bali. Basically, people on the sidewalk lane are living for today rather than the future. And by living paycheck to paycheck, they're accumulating a ton of consumer debt. Keep in mind, the sidewalk lifestyle is not limited to low earners. People with a very high income can also be living on the sidewalk if they're spending more than they earn. Think Mike Tyson, who went bankrupt a few years after he retired. And this is actually very common for professional athletes like UFC fighters, NFL players, anybody with elite status. The slow lane. The slow lane is a recipe for mediocrity, not prosperity. It's a plan for the masses, a blueprint for a life of average. The slow lane is different. The slow lane path is a traditional roadmap to wealth. You're familiar with this lane. You've been sold this lane your entire life. You've been told to go to college, work a steady job, save and invest for the future. And so that one day when you're 65 years old, you will accumulate wealth slowly over time. And this roadmap really relies on the principle of compound interest and patience, low risk and low reward. So basically, the slow lane is telling you to sacrifice today for tomorrow. The people taking the slow lane, well, they're the ones who are reading all the finance books, who are saving 10% on their paycheck, investing in their 401k and their Roth IRA, and they're sticking to a very strict budget. They're doing all the right things because they think this is the clear roadmap to wealth. Well, what is the problem with the slow lane? Well, it takes decades, almost 40 years to build wealth. And with this roadmap, you spend most of your life pinching pennies, cutting coupons, and avoiding lattes so that one day you can finally stop working. But unfortunately, that one day, well, by the time you have that money, you may be divorced or old or even disabled. And the author, DeMarco, he argues that the fast lane is the best option for those who are serious about achieving financial independence and building long-term wealth. But this fast lane, it requires hard work and a dedication, but can also be highly rewarding and fulfilling. Comment below if you can identify with the sidewalk lane. That's me. I'm the sidewalk lane. And just about everybody I know say their parents are either on the sidewalk or the slow lane. Because we don't know any better, that was the pathway we follow because we follow in our parents' footsteps. And now I'm starting to learn that I have to unlearn everything I learned about money and relearn it, which is really difficult. Now on to the good part, the fast lane. The fast lane is a path of least resistance to wealth. It is a lane where wealth is created, not inherited or stolen. It is a lane that is paved with hard work, discipline, and hustle. And it is the lane that produces the highest probability of wealth in the shortest period of time. So with this fast lane, it's basically an alternative to the sidewalk or the slow lane. It's a different lane to wealth. And this fast lane involves a focus on efficiency and maximizing your time and your resource. It involves the willingness to take risks and think outside of the box in order to achieve financial success. So this alternative roadmap to wealth, well, it's the path that is least taken, the path of the most resistance. The fast lane's all about building multiple streams of income so you can achieve the same wealth building results that you would in 40 years, but in 10 to 15 years. But how do you do that? Well, the key is you have to create value. Value through entrepreneurship, or you invest in high growth opportunities. It's about building scalable businesses like content creation or an e-commerce business. Or you invest in assets that generate passive income, stocks, bonds, crypto, or even real estate investment. So this roadmap is all about taking calculated risk and working aggressively to achieve financial success in a much shorter time frame. And my favorite part about the fast lane, well, it's about being a producer and an investor. A producer is someone who creates something of value and distribute to the world. So essentially, you're giving the world what it doesn't know it needs. And in my case, a producer is pretty much another word for a creator. Instead of consuming content, I create content. And my favorite quote from DeMarco: consumerism is an opiate of the masses. It numbs the pain of mediocrity and it's the fast lane killer. That one stings just a little. So what I've learned is the keys to success is to be a creator rather than a consumer, and to focus on solving problems and creating value for others. The most successful people are the ones who are able to identify unmet needs and develop solutions that fill those needs. That's how they make money. So here's the truth. Almost everybody who's ever gotten rich young, keyword here being young, they did it through investing or producing. They didn't achieve financial independence by working a 9-to-5 job and saving 10% of the money into their 401k for 40 years. No, they didn't do that. They took a different route. They became investors or creators or producers, and that put them in control of their income, and it provides them a different type of lifestyle. In lifestyle, where can they make more money than their average annual salary? So the idea of the fast lane, it's not really about early retirement or retiring at 40. Rather, it's about achieving financial independence and building long-term wealth to create financial security and stability for yourself and your loved one, rather than relying on the traditional employment or even a fixed retirement age. So you see, the goal of the fast lane is to achieve financial independence and financial freedom so that you can live life on your terms. And this might involve retiring at a much younger age, but that's not necessarily the primary focus, at least not for me, because I actually really want to work. I enjoy working. I enjoy making these YouTube videos, and I want to build wealth and financial security on my time. And I'm still trying to figure out how this works. But what I've learned is to invest in yourself. That's the biggest takeaway in this book, is to invest the time to become a creator, a producer, and an investor, and not rely on other people or your job to do this for you. It's basically taking life into your own hands and creating the life you want. And if you got this far in the video, I want to share the 7 greatest takeaways of this book. Now, what I've learned is the traditional path to wealth, which involves getting a job, saving money, and investing in slow growth assets like stocks and bonds, well, that's a good path, but it's a very slow and unreliable way to achieve financial freedom. But I do think it's a great path to your financial independence journey, because that's where I started. I was on the sidewalk lane and the slow lane, and I wish I transitioned to the fast lane a lot sooner. But a lot of it was just ignorance. I just didn't know how to build wealth. I didn't understand basic personal finance concepts because I never took the time to learn it. Now, if I did that way earlier in my career, I would have been a lot more successful than I am now. The second big takeaway I have from this book is that a dangerous society is a society that glorifies consumerism and a culture of instant gratification. Everybody loves instant gratification, especially on social media. We glorify it. And this culture really encourages us to focus on short-term pleasure rather than long-term gain. And that's why we struggle with financial stability and money problems and all these issues that come up, because we cannot focus on our goal, our mission, and we don't have any direction in life. That's what I figured out in my 30s. I wish I learned this in my 20s, and I wish somebody had told me to solidify my mission and my vision at a much younger age, and to give myself that direction, that clear path to building wealth. I wish I knew that stuff. Now, the third takeaway is to achieve financial success, you really have to become a producer and not a consumer. And this means that you have to generate passive income. Now, this is a big whole topic in itself. I used to think that passive income was easy, but what I realized that it's actually not passive at all. It's a lot of work. I have most of my passive income from my course and from my real estate investments. And it took a long time, almost a year and a half, for me to actually understand how to build an audience, create a course, and to sell that course and have it become passive income. And the same thing with my real estate investment. I had to take a course, learn about property management, learn about all the tiny little mistakes that can go wrong when you own a property. The passive income came a lot faster. So it's actually not easy. It requires a lot of work, but once you put in the work, it becomes a lot easier. Now, the fourth takeaway here is to become a millionaire quickly, you really have to focus on building a business, even though you don't want to. And the term of business sounds very scary. And before I understood how business really worked, I thought I could never be an entrepreneur. I could never own a business. But once I kind of learned the ins and outs of business and what it really means to own a business, it's actually not as black and white as I thought. And now I can finally understand how relying on my business to generate that passive income is much easier than relying on my job, my salary, or my employer. And this is something we can dive a little deeper into. If you guys are interested in maybe the next or future YouTube videos, let me know. The next big takeaway is really to take big risks. And I used to be a really big risk taker in my 20s, and I kind of stopped taking risks when I entered my late 20s into early 30s because I had so much to lose. And after I read this book, I realized I really need to be proactive in creating value for others and take all these major risks, because what is the worst that can happen? If I lose all the money, I can gain it back. That's the biggest takeaway from this book. You can lose it all, but you'll never lose your skills. And education is very valuable. You can make all the money that you've lost if you learn the valuable skills that is necessary to take you to the next step. And another big takeaway here is to cultivate the right mindset and habits to make sure you reach your goals. And this requires discipline and hard work and continuous learning, self-education, whether you do it through a podcast, a YouTube, or buying a course, or entering a mastermind. Whatever it is that you do, you have to really get your mindset right. If you don't have the right mindset, no matter what you do, you will fail. And that's what I'm learning this year heavily. I invested in a $20,000 mastermind to get me on the right track, to surround myself with the right mindset and people who create better habits for themselves so I can learn from them. So really, it is an investment in myself to train my brain to think differently, to think outside of the box, to really achieve that financial independence and create those habits to get me closer to my goals. This last one, well, it's something that we already said, that you really have to build a successful business, because that is the fastest and most reliable way to achieve financial independence. And really, anybody with the right mindset and the right strategies, they can do it. It requires a lot of upfront learning. And this is something that I didn't know. It wasn't exposed to me at a younger age. And luckily for you guys, you have the world of YouTube. There's so many content creators talking about this and helping you guys generate more passive income. And I think if you consume the right content, you actually can learn a ton, because free education is everywhere, especially with the new invention and the introduction of AI. AI is going to change the world and how we learn, how easy it is to access free information. So if you want to learn to build a business, you want to learn about personal finance, you can probably consume a week's worth of content and be able to take everything you learn and apply it in real life with the right mentors and with the right voices in your head. So with that said, thank you for watching this video. Like I said, I read this book, I acted on it really quickly, and I just want to put myself in the fast lane as fast as possible. And because I did this, I feel so much better, because now I have direction in my life and I have a roadmap to take me there. So I highly, highly recommend that you read this book. It'll give you so much new insight on how to navigate this world of wealth building. And watch this video below, because I want to show you the raw reality of how I did it, how I pulled the trigger and quit my job. So maybe if you find yourself at a similar stage in life, you can watch this video and see, and maybe it'll give you some inspiration to move forward and do the damn thing that you've always wanted to do. And if you like this kind of content, subscribe for more, and let me know in the comments if you want to see more of these book reports from me. I mean, I read a ton of books, and I always want to synthesize the information and give it to you guys, but I'm never really sure if anybody really cares. So let me know, and until then, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being here.